Hello, everyone. Um, as people are coming in, feel free to just say hello in the chat. Um, you're here for the course informative webinar on the UX design principles for AR and VR. And I'm Annalise. I'm here today with Alexis from our lab at NYU. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about the course. At the end of the course, we'll have a few minutes to answer questions. There's a Q&A button. For those of you who are familiar with Zoom, it's part of that control deck. For those of you who are not familiar with Zoom, look for a control panel. In that Q&A button, you can type in your questions. And if you have any questions during the whole webinar, you can feel free to post them in there. We'll get to them towards the end, but you can feel free to type as you come up with questions. So now let me tell you about the course. The agenda for today, we'll go through introducing you to some of the faculty that are working. We'll be working with you to show you the course and teach you the material. We'll tell you a little bit about Emeritus, about NYU Tandon, as well as give you a general outline of what the course will be like. We'll talk about who this course is for, as well as what the learning experience is like, what you'll be able to take away from the course. And we'll also go through some logistics details as well as admission and pricing. And then at the end, if you have anything that we haven't gone through or you'd like us to elaborate on, we'll have that Q&A time. Now, I want to hand it off to Alexis to tell us a little bit more about the faculty. And here we go.
Great, thanks. Hello, everybody. I'm Alexis Seeley, and I run the education programming at our lab. Annalise, you can go to the next slide. The course is led by two faculty instructors, both of whom teach at the IDM department at NYU Tandon, which is Integrated Digital Media. And the first one that we have here, Todd, is an award-winning screenwriter and director. He's made some amazing pieces with Childish Gambino and things for HBO, Game of Thrones, and is a extraordinary VR producer. And he's also the director of technology at the R Lab. And so he's has helped us build out the motion capture studios there, as well as serve as kind of the in-house technical expert for everything AR, VR, and spatial computing. The next faculty that is working on the course is also a faculty member at Integrated Digital Media, and her background and expertise is on UX design and UX experience. She just has a new book out called Inclusive Design for a Digital World. And we are lucky to have her collaborate on a lot of projects with us at the R Lab also. And the fact that she's now more permanently at IDM was a real win for NYU. So they're great faculty, and they have so much information in terms of the UX design and strategies around kind of building good experiences.
Yeah, it's great to have both of their voices kind of back and forth throughout the course.
Yes, their backgrounds are very different, and so they balance each other very nicely. And then this is me. Hello. Like I said, I'm the director of our education programs, and my background is in curriculum development with technology integration and innovation, as well as media literacy and film and video. And so moved kind of through the media literacy phase into the new phase around spatial computing, which and VR and AR, which is the new media literacy. So kind of makes a lot of sense in terms of my career trajectory. So let me tell you a little bit about NYU Tandon, which you see there. It's like says made in Brooklyn. So people think about NYU as Washington Square, but NYU Tandon is across the bridge in Brooklyn, where everything's a little bit cooler and edgier, as well as a little bit more integrated in terms of thinking about using technology and science as a way to incorporate these tools to make a better society. So we have deep roots in Brooklyn and a strong collaboration and connection with NYU, and where NYU Tandon is in the middle of this, what they're calling the Brooklyn, or the technology triangle in New York City. And so there's downtown Brooklyn, Tandon, Dumbo, and then the Brooklyn Navy Yard where the R Lab is. And so it's this really amazing kind of network of innovators, entrepreneurs, and tech development. And so that takes us to the R Lab, New York City's home for VR, AR, and spatial computing. And we have been around for 2 years. You can go to the next slide. We are at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, and our building, our 16,000 square foot building, is almost fully renovated. It's going to have a huge motion capture studio, a VR, AR studio, a nice big classroom where we'll be having live events once we're all able to congregate together, kind of collaborative workspaces, meetings. And so the our lab was supported initially by a grant from the New York City Economic Development Corporation, as well as the New York City Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment. We're part of NYU, Tandon School of Engineering, and then we have we're a consortium, and so the other colleges in our consortium are CUNY, Columbia, the New School, and then within that, some subdivisions of CUNY. Our main focus is on education and training, entrepreneurship, and corporate innovation. And so we have programs that address all of these things. You're here for one of our education classes. For entrepreneurship, we host boot camps and kind of venture programs. And so if you enroll in this class, you're also able to apply for some of the boot camps that we have. And so if you're thinking about for a startup idea, you come up with an idea, you pitch and apply and go through some programming to figure out if that startup is feasible and viable. And we do that on 2 different levels for startups, and then the second tier, young companies that are looking to raise venture funds. And then within corporate innovation, we have corporate clients and partners that look to us to do help them with R&D, which is research and development, as well as connecting them with the startups and entrepreneurs that we're working with. And so hopefully after things kind of level back out and settle down within this crazy time we're in, we'll see you all at the R Lab in person at some point, if possible.
I hope so too. All right, I'll take over the course overview now. Thank you so much, Alexis, for telling us about our lab. So a little bit about me before we jump into that. I'm one of the course facilitators. So as a course facilitator, I'm here to tell you about the course and help you with any things that are XR related questions you might have during the course. So this whole discussion of learning about AR and VR and developing your UX design skills towards this entirely new medium kind of has to do with the evolution of all the different platforms, from PC to the internet, where you have a lot of web apps, and to mobile apps that are also integrated with web apps. You see the trend rising where these things are becoming a lot more commonplace. And so what's interesting with VR and AR is thinking about how that might eventually come into its own commonplace. It's already pretty commonplace in a lot of maybe very specific enterprise roles. And then a lot of people also have access to AR now through their phones. VR headsets are becoming more affordable. And so it's a very exciting time. Part of what we want to be able to arm you with over the trajectory of the course is for you to be able to basically first start out and orient yourself and understand how human-computer interaction is and how XR is sort of framed within that and within those behaviors. You also want you to be able to understand sort of the best practices and what tools of the trade are needed for UX for XR. We also, very importantly, want you to be able to identify opportunities and challenges. When does XR make sense for a problem? When does it maybe not make so much sense? How is it helping or hurting different groups and different problems? And last, I touched on this a little bit, but we'd really try to arm you with some of the tools and techniques. Some of you are coming into this class with no coding background. You don't really need a coding background to take this class. And so all of the tools that we suggest don't really need any programming. They're there for you so that it's easy for you to pick it up and to learn a little bit more about what it feels like to make something. But you don't necessarily need any coding background. You don't necessarily need any design background either. And that's kind of why understanding XR and design. So throughout the course, let me know if it's cutting out. I just got a message from Zoom saying my internet connection is unstable, but throughout the course, the instructors will sort of shine a light on some of the different more popular tools that are out there. And so for those of you that haven't tried any VR or AR applications, this is a really good way for you to kind of understand what using those applications are like. One example is Tilt Brush. It's a painting tool that you can paint in VR, and it's painting in 3D space, which is really cool. You wouldn't necessarily be able to try Tilt Brush on your own unless you had the right headset and the right PC. But because our class is trying to cater to make sure that this is accessible to everyone, we're mostly focused on like cardboard headsets. And so we have these sort of demos for you. We're able to get a sense of what that's like through the videos. But we will also have apps for you to be able to install for your cardboard headset as well as on your phone for AR apps. All right, so let me break down the course a little bit. It's organized as 6 modules. And so every week is a module, and we'll take you down that path. So first, just understanding what HCI is, what XR is, kind of grounding yourself in your own experience of like what sort of frustrations do you have with like a mobile phone, or what sort of things do you really like with a mobile phone. And we use that as an example of if you can remember when you first got your first mobile phone, which is way back in the day, how does that kind of relate to your expectations of approaching this new technology in the first place? And we try and use that as a parallel for thinking about approaching XR and using XR's new hardware interactions and new expectations coming into that. The next week, we kind of get more into diving into sort of like design considerations, as well as just thinking about all the different things that come into building an XR space. So it's not just visuals, and the visuals there's different considerations for different VR headsets as well as different AR headsets. There's also sound to consider as well. And we have some interviews along the way with subject matter experts to sort of dive in a little bit deeper into these and get some insights on how the experts have to think about this in context of professional problems, or problems where they have to produce something and work with a developer to produce it. Module 3, it goes in more into storyboarding. So part of this is just arming you with sort of some strategies on how to lay out your design. So if you have a design in mind, thinking about how people will interact with that design and get to certain points. Storyboarding is one of the ways that we'll get through that. And we'll also arm you with a few techniques so that you can think about this in 3D space. So it's not just two-dimensional. In module 4, we'll get into tools and techniques. A lot of it is kind of dipping your toes into understanding what 3D assets are out there. We have a pretty simple way for you to get into modeling. And we'll also go into a little bit about how you can get 3D models from other techniques like photogrammetry, and how you can find your own 3D models that you might need for your application online. And we'll share resources for that as well. And then module 5, we're getting into how to plan these interactions and basically taking all the stuff that we learned and putting it together so that you're able to have a little piece or a little snippet of something working, mostly for AR. For VR, we go into gaze interactions a little bit, and then for AR, we're looking at interactions on your phone. What's kind of commonplace, what has been used, and you get to create your own set of AR interactions using a web tool. And then module 6 is sort of the end bracket of this course. We look into how the XR industry will be in the future. So a lot of this is thinking about kind of what's next on the horizon for AR and VR, and having a discussion around how to prepare for upcoming changes as well as potential opportunities. So those are the 6 weeks of content. Right before that, we have an orientation week. And during that week, we'll just try to help you with getting familiar with the course navigation. All the courses will be accessed through a web portal, and you'll have different access to all the assignments, for instance, discussion boards, as well as a support page where you can get the help that you need. Related to that, the discussions and polls. So one of the cool things about this course is that it's an online course. It's flexible, so you can jump into the course and watch the videos in your own time. But the other cool part about that is you potentially have all these people from all different parts of the world and all different types of experiences coming together on one platform. And so the discussions and polls are really helpful for you to get connected with other people, as well as learn more about why other people are coming into this field, what sort of background do they bring into it. And I think that's one of the great parts about this course, is just understanding and connecting with all the different people. I'll go on to goal setting now. So basically each week you'll have a set of videos. The videos range from 2 to 5 to 10 minutes long, and you'll have maybe like around 5 or 6 of them per week. With that, you have a set of assignments per week per each module, and you'll also have a set of sort of try it exercises where you'll be able to actually try different AR apps, try a VR app, try different modeling programs, as well as other authoring programs so you can make your own AR demo. And then alongside with that, we have video lectures and interviews. So our Todd and Regine have these interviews with different faculty from NYU, as well as people that are on the field using XR or developing XR. And from that, you're able to kind of understand what all these different perspectives are about, and what's really cool is you can sort of factor that into your own assignment. So the assignments themselves are kind of a little bit like take what you want out of them and make them, color them with your own background. And the interviews with Todd and Regine kind of give you a lot of different flavors to work with. So you're able to kind of put yourself in these people's shoes and understand that a little bit more. Alongside of that, we also have 2 live webinars. So these are the main like live sessions in the course where we're actually coming together on Zoom like we are now. And I will be moderating both of those. So I'll be there live with you then, and I'll also be here throughout the entire course. If you have any questions, I'm always available over email. I'll also be in the discussion boards, checking in and linking everyone to resources. At the end of the course, once you've finished all the assignments, you'll get a certificate from NYU and our lab. It'll have your name on it. It'll be nice and fancy. You can show it off on LinkedIn, all that good stuff. And in terms of the admission details, I'm just going to go over this really quickly and then we can jump into Q&A. So the course fees are $1,400. There's more details here. If you have any questions particular to this, you can also email, I think there's a Emeritus email that we'll be sending out in chat that will go through more of this. So I'm not going to go through this in detail right now. And here's a link to apply. So I hope everyone joins, and I think it'll be a great 6 to 7 weeks where we all get to know each other and we all get to learn more about XR together. And with that, let's see what questions we have. Ooh, need to figure out how to open the questions. Alexis, are you able to see the questions?
Sure,
okay.
I can see the questions. So,
okay.
And I've been answering some of them along the way.
Oh, great.
So there's a question, is Oculus Go okay for this course? And then the follow-up, is this just an introductory course to AR, VR? Or also we can kick up to design a VR application? I'm very much interested in designing a VR cinema app. So how will this course help me?
So the first question with Oculus Go is all right. Any non-cardboard VR headset would be fine for this class. We only have maybe one try it demo where we ask you to try your own experience and kind of talk about that a little bit. And if you don't want to use that particular link and you have your own headset that has a link that would be similar, you feel free to use that instead and just contribute to the discussion board with that different application. Don't feel like you have to be tied to cardboard if you have a better headset. In terms of whether or not this class is more beginner oriented or not, I would say it is more beginner oriented. If you have had experience developing your own VR and AR applications already, this class might feel a little slow to you, but there are enough things to learn that you'll get something out of it. And
okay.
Then, was there a third part to that question about developing your own VR film?
Developing an app, cinema app.
A cinema app, okay. We don't go into developing like hands-on a VR cinema app or an app for VR. So you won't get what you need out of this class directly, but you could always ask me during the course if you need any pointers. We also don't go into Unity at all, which is sort of the more popular program used to create these sort of VR experiences. But again, I'm here if you have any Unity questions and you happen to be working on Unity at the same time. It's just this course is not structured for that.
And I would say instead of looking at the how to develop something in Unity, it's much more about best practices and things to consider in terms of what the development of that should look like. So I do think it would help you thinking about the ways in which you'd structure that application, not how to build the application.
Yeah, I've had students that have taken this course prior told me that they were taking a Unity course at the same time, and they found it really helpful because they were figuring out the how-to part of what they needed for their application, as well as the why and what thinking was involved with that. So there's that as well.
And then we have is this course geared more towards full-time students or industry professionals? And I would say the course is made for industry professionals or for students that aren't taking this within some of their coursework already. And so it doesn't say it can only be industry professionals or students. It's meant to be not full-time work, you know, so you'd be able to have a full-time job as well as take this course, but you could be a student or a professional.
Yeah, most of the videos are pretty short and they're kind of bite-sized, so you can just kind of watch a little bit whenever you have a break.
And then the next question is, would this course apply for credit to the entire integrated digital media undergrad major, or would it be redundant if I wanted to go into the major in the future? It would not count for credit for the undergraduate major, and the work is not redundant. This content has been made. Some of the content I think would actually be a really great place to see if you're interested in learning more about this and be able to get much deeper dive into the content. Like I said, it's not, you won't be learning Unity or Unreal, which you would then learn, you'd have a much more full exposure to those things within the undergrad program at IDM. But this is a good way to see if you're interested in that. And then another question is, what would the output of this course, what would be the output of this course? Would I be able to create something to put in my portfolio or just gaining background knowledge? Annalise, I'll let you answer that one.
You would be able to have like a short thing that you could put in your portfolio, and you could also like post the link to it on your website or wherever you'd like. In terms of what you're putting into the class and getting output from, a lot of it is assignment based, and the assignments aren't asking you to have make full-fledged applications, but you can use it to kind of show your thinking and how you would design in a role similar to what you're aiming for if you want to be an XR designer. And you can also use the assignments as sort of a template on how to talk about your work as well. But again, it's not structured in a way where you're taking out like a full project out of the course. It's more just assignment based. And so you could share like a little bit of, here's something that I got working, and here's why I designed it this way. But it is kind of more broken down into different pieces rather than kind of one project for you to show off.
There is another question from Matt. Are the demos like Tilt Brush, etc., a large portion of the class? I'm interested in this program, but already have a good amount of experience using VR programs.
The demos are a pretty small portion of the class. They're just more there to give people context. So for people that haven't had that experience that you've had, they can kind of see what that's like. If you already have VR experience, there's other parts of the class that aren't really the demos, but a lot of the try it stuff is meant to be very accessible. And so if you've already tried a lot of VR applications on your own, those portions might also be a bit redundant for you.
And then, do you need a background in UX to take this course?
You don't need a background in UX. It might help a little bit, but I think you can come into this course without that background and still gain a lot of knowledge. And it's also helpful to just gain that initial background in UX. Uh, we don't do anything in the course that's very advanced for UX along those lines. And so this will be a good way to get started in UX as well. And just in terms of some of the UX thinking.
I think oh, okay. What time will the live lectures be?
Oh, so the timing for the live lectures depends, but we will have announcements at least, I think, prior to when the course starts or sometime in week 0 on when those live sessions will be. And we also record all of our live sessions and we post them within the web portal. And so you'll be able to access the recording anytime after they've been aired. And you don't have to worry about not getting access to some content just because it's out of your time zone.
And then there's another question, will there be other follow-up courses that dive deeper and are more advanced? And yes, the answer to that is yes, there are, or yes, there will be. Currently working on developing some of those now. And depending on what subject matter, you know, if you're looking for specifically a Unity course or Unreal course or design, programming, you can feel free to also, I'm going to put my email in the chat. So if you have things that you're looking for to learn at, you can send them to info@ourlab.nyc, and we'll be able to guide you with any along any other courses that we're having. But we are in the process of building some deeper dives into this content area.
I just typed that.
Thank you, Annalise.
I'm not sure if that's the right link though, so double check to see.
Oh,
I typed it
no,
in the chat.
info.
It's like too many ats.
Yeah.
.nyc, right.
Can you elaborate what exactly we'll be learning about VR and UI and UX?
Part of what you'll be able to learn more about, at least in the beginning, is getting more familiar with the terminology. And so being able to talk about this in a way that makes sense with people that are already in the field. The other part of that is taking into consideration what are like common pain points as well as common interaction patterns in VR. So looking at what's existing, breaking that down, bringing that into your own storyboards and design deliverables. And was AR part of that question too?
VR, UI, UX, but.
Oh, VR, UI, UX. So there's that, and you also have the ability to sort of share what you're working on with your classmates, so getting that type of feedback as well. And then in terms of UI, UX considerations, just thinking about placing, space, diegetic UI, non-diegetic UI, where using sound that's spatial as well. So just kind of going through that, picking apart kind of where you would use what and why, and trying to bring that into your own assignment.
And to elaborate on that, I would say a little bit of the course will help you think about all of the things that you need to consider, all of the elements that you need to take into consideration for creating a good design within AR or VR, and help you make better choices or choices that won't make people dizzy, or be able to have something that floats in space in a proper way. So it won't teach you how to exactly have the AR item float in space, but it will tell you exactly what are all of the considerations that you need to have for that. And there will be exercises that walk you through kind of prototyping or demoing that, but you won't be working in Unity or Unreal to develop those from scratch.
Yeah. To piggyback off of what you said in the beginning too, there's a little bit, I found a lot of value in these sort of like accessibility portions of the class, and thinking about how the application you're creating might not address certain groups, and how to think about how to help them with that.
We have a question. How many people are expected to register for this course? I'm not quite sure about that, but I can answer the second part, which is, and do we have access to NYU Resources, and we'll be able to utilize access after the completion of the course? The NYU Resources and our lab resources that you're able to get from this course is the ability to apply for those bootcamp and entrepreneurship programs, which are usually limited to current New York City enrolled students. But there isn't, you do not get campus access or access to any kind of campus resources with this course.
Any more questions?
I'd just like, Annalise, I'd like to say, this course, it's, there have been, as you said, people taking the Unity class alongside of this, and, even working in this space and kind of understanding or thinking, like understanding concepts around this, the ways in which Todd is able to kind of explain the terminology and is incredible. After, I thought that I understood something or thought I had a really good grasp on it, and then kind of as we were building this course, I was like, oh my gosh, Todd, like that's exactly right. That's like, he's able to put into words some really complex ideas that are hard to kind of grasp.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank everyone for joining. We're going to close off the session, and we hope to hear from you, and as well as see you in the next course.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Hopefully all of your questions were answered. Have a good day.